Good afternoon and welcome to the April 7th, 2026 meeting of Georgetown County Council. Please take this time to silence your cell phone so we can all be present at the information to be present. Note for the record, we do have a quorum present. Please join us as Councilor Bishop Cooper leads us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening with a grateful heart, thankful for the opportunity to serve the people of Georgetown County. We ask for your presence in this meeting, that you would guide every discussion, every decision, and every vote tonight. Grant us wisdom to lead with clarity, courage to do what is right, and help us to have humility to listen to one another with respect and understanding. Help us to put the need of our community above personal interest and to act in the spirit of unity and service. Lord, we lift up the citizens of this county, the family, the businesses, and those facing challenges. May our work tonight reflect your justice, compassion, your truth. Let everything we do bring about the good and growth of this community. Protect and strengthen those who serve, and bless this county with peace, progress, and purpose. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Move down to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the meeting agenda as published? So moved by Councilor Charlton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Cooper. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? The agenda is approved. Move down to special reports and presentations. Our nonprofit spotlight tonight is Habitat for Humanity. Georgetown County and Francis P. Burnell Foundation are partnering to spotlight a local nonprofit at each county council meeting. This week's featured nonprofit is Habitat for Humanity. Ms. Katie Bell, Patrick Brannon, and Julie Dew will present. You guys have the floor. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Julie Dew. I'm the Director of Finance and Administration for Habitat for Humanity, and this is our presentation. So what is happening at Habitat? You can go to the next slide, please. Where it all started. Conversations about housing solutions started in 1989 after Hurricane Hugo, when there was such a need to rebuild homes, especially for low-income families. After meetings and collaborations in 1991, the affiliate was incorporated and the first home was started for a young woman with 2 young children. Next slide, please. Since 1991, we have built more than 120 homes in Georgetown County. Next slide. In 2020, our program started expanding because we realized that there was a need for safe housing. We need to help more than 3 or 4 families a year. Knowing that not all families needed a new home, some because of health or finances just needed a little help fixing up the one they already owned. So we started our repair program. And Katie's going to talk a little bit about our repair program.
Next slide, please. So our first repair was replacing a water heater in the middle of the winter for a 90-year-old woman. She had been without hot water for 6 months before she came. Continue, please. Thank you. Today, our repair program has repaired more than 90 homes. So we've invested $687,000 back into Georgetown County, with that being $284,412 back into the actual county park residents.
All right, take over from here. So how Habitat homeownership works, Habitat house payments are based on what the homeowner can afford, not what the builder or bank needs to change to make a profit. Monthly payments are capped at 30% of the homeowner's gross income. There's no interest on their payments ever. House payments include principal, insurance, and taxes, and homes are built with the help of dedicated community volunteers. Next slide, please. There's going to be that and one more. All right, so here's the value of the Habitat volunteer. So currently we have about 20 full-time volunteers that assist with our builds every Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as our repair program on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So it takes approximately 2,200 total volunteer hours to build a 3-bedroom Habitat home. The independent sector analysis values each of those hours at $34.79. And that is a total of $76,538 worth of donated time, which was contributed to each Habitat 3-bedroom home. Next slide.
So it is in our, the way that the program works is that no homeowner pays more than 30% of their income for their home. And we are fortunate to be part of the Home Grant Program, which is a federal program. And that helps us with the building of the home, as well as when we ask for donations, churches and different groups donate money, which helps with the building. This example is that the homeowner income is $36,000, which is about $3,000 a month. And their 30% affordability is $919 a month. So the appraised value of the home would come in, say, at $250,000. The home grant, we subtract off of it, which is forgivable after 15 years. The principal balance is $163,000. Their monthly payment is $453, which is the $163,000 divided by 360 months, and there's no interest. Their taxes about $150. Their insurance about $100. So their total payment would be $703, which is less than what their affordable amount, which was $919. Next slide, please. Also, we don't factor in the actual cost of construction because our mission is to build affordable homes, which is no more than 30% of the gross income. The cost of the build is irrelevant. So also, this is when the 30% comes out to be more than what the home is affordable. So in this case, the homeowner income, they make about $18,000 a year, which is $1,500 a month. Their affordability is $450. And so the appraised value at $160. The home grant was $56,000. So the principal is $104. Divided out over 360 months is $289. Taxes and insurance brings the payment up to $489, but their affordability was only $450. So we take out a forgivable third mortgage to fill in the difference to bring their payment down to $450. Next slide.
For the repair program, we have, again, it's not based on the cost of the repairs. It's based on the homeowner and what they can afford. And so we have structured it with 5% of their 1-month income. With that also comes one of our requirements is sweat equity, and that is a sliding scale based on the cost of subcontractors and materials.
All right, so how can you help? This is for anybody in the community that's looking to maybe get involved. You can come volunteer with us as an individual, or if you are an organization or somebody who wants to put a group together, you can contact us at the information at the end of the presentation. You could also help with community outreach just by spreading the word. So that could go for events. Whenever you hear about our events, spreading flyers or just information, that's a great way to help us out. Sponsorship opportunities. So we have annual events every year, such as Palmetto Giving Day. We have a fishing tournament, golf tournament, and several others. And so whenever sponsorship opportunities pop up, if you want to help us out by donating to the events and helping us out as a sponsor. We also offer a panel build. So this is something that we offer for churches and organizations or companies that want to potentially have a sponsorship opportunity, which is a 4 to 6 hour on-site experience where you build walls for the future home, which you will be sponsoring. We've done several of these for the past couple of years, and they're always very successful and great marketing opportunities for the companies that put them on. Or you could also just sponsor a specific habitat home. So that's something that we have a lot of people do that they don't necessarily want to do the panel build, but they want to have their name on a sign out in front of the home that says, they were the ones that sponsored the home. And lastly, you can donate. So we have several different ways that you could donate. You can donate either in giving days, such as Palmetto Giving Day, which we have coming up in May, or if you also just wanted to make a specific donation to us via check or cash, or even online, you can do that as well. Next slide. So I'm going to skip over the FAQs. All of those are just some standard questions that we have, but if you have any questions about those, you can ask them at the end. So next slide. All right, so here is the information that you can reach us at. So general information, you can find us online at www.habitatgeorgetown.com, or you can email us at info@habitatgeorgetown. My information is listed right there in the center underneath the green. And that could be something if you wanted to reach out for volunteers or sponsorships or anything like that. And then lastly, you can reach out to our executive director down there at the bottom. It's Jacob Rigopoulos. He couldn't be here with us tonight, but you could contact him for any sponsorship or donation information. So in closing, thank you for having us out here tonight. As we've said, our repair program has been very beneficial for the county. And so we are currently seeking funds for the program. So continued support and spreading the word for our organization is a big help for us. So thank you all. And if you have any questions, let us know.
Yeah, I had a question. The grant money, is those federal funds? Where's that money coming from?
Yes, those are through the federal home grant, and they are administered through, Horry County actually helps us with that, and we get our funds directly from them, but it's administered through the federal home grant.
That looks like about 30-40% of the cost of doing the building, correct?
It is, and because we're a small affiliate, we can take advantage of that program. Not all affiliates in our state are able to receive those funds.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any further questions?
I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for 37 years of changing life, impacting life, making things affordable, and particularly also families, regardless of the cost of the house, they pay only 5% for repairs. And I think that's an awesome thing. And I have a signature saying, keep moving in the right direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Misty, real quick, if you could you give us sort of the criteria for a new build selection? I know there's some criteria for, and just briefly.
I'm family service manager, Katie Ball. So I work with all of our homeowners, whether it is from home construction to the repair program to the education department. So for home ownership, the criteria, we do look at income, which we follow the HUD guidelines. We have our debt to income ratio. We have credit history, not credit score. And so those are some of the preliminary parts of the criteria, along with background check and sort of making sure that the budget is something that being a homeowner is going to help them, not hurt them. That's the one thing that we are making sure. We want to help them be successful homeowners. We don't want to put them into a situation that they can't afford it in a year, 2 years down the line. Sadly, they, have to give it back.
What about site selection? Is there certain criteria for, say you're going to go in and build, you want to build a new subdivision for Habitat? Is there certain criteria that the area would have to meet to qualify for Habitat?
Or, I was going to say, Julie, you may be able
Yeah.
to.
We have to have, anything that's funded through the federal home grant has to have an environmental study to make sure that it's not in a floodplain or that there's anything else on the property that could hurt the homeowner in the long haul. However, we have not done an actual subdivision. We build about 3 or 4 homes a year, and we try to do about 12 repairs a year. That's based on the amount of funding. We're a small staff of 6, so that's the impact that we can bring. So there hasn't been a subdivision opportunity. However, if someone wants to help us build a subdivision, we are open to that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Are any further questions?
Got one more question. For the homeowner, do they get the upside if the appraisal goes up in value or the property goes up in value?
You mean over the years of their ownership?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So we build the home and everything is based off the appraisal. So rather than us basing it off the actual cost of the build. So it's more of an affordable program so that the homeowners only have to pay the 30%. And as the property increases in value, they get to take advantage of that. However, the home grant, and if they have the third silent mortgage, those are forgiven over an affordability period of 15 years. So if they do sell their home in that time period, those items have to go back to those funders. And, or we have to use those funds for, if the house is sold, we recoup those funds back and we can put them into another project. So there is a 15-year time period that they really need to stay in the home.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for what you do for Georgetown County.
Thank you.
We move down to our public comment section. A public comment period is included on each meeting agenda and shall be limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and no speaker may yield his or her allotted time to another speaker. A timer is provided on screen, and at the end of your time, please wrap up your comments promptly. While speaking, please be sure to address council only and refrain from personal attacks. They will not be tolerated. Council will not respond to any questions during this period. While a speaker has the floor, the public will respect the speaker and allow them their time to address council. Members of the public who wish to address council during the public input period should sign up with the clerk to council before the meeting. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers for tonight's meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have one speaker, and it's Miss Becky Ryan. Good evening. My name is Becky Ryan. I'm the North Coast Office Director for the Coastal Conservation League. I'm going to keep this brief. My comments are regarding the items 6A and 6B, the contracts for the renourishment. According to the staff recommendation, it mentions that some of the project would cover beaches that are behind gated communities that do not have public access. So I would ask that any county funds that are used for those projects be fully disclosed. And also that I would like to raise concerns for the time frame of these projects and any impacts to flora and fauna. So thinking about the dunes, nesting seasons for both birds and sea turtles, for migratory bird season. So I think it would be a great idea for the county to consult a hydrologist and a biologist for these projects. So that's it. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, ma'am. We move down to our consent agenda. Note there are 3 items on the consent agenda that have previously been approved via the agenda approval process. Contract number 22-107, Task Order 3 for 2026 to 2028 beach condition monitoring at Garden City and Litchfield Beach Services, Public Services, and Capital Projects staff have reviewed the proposals received from Coastal Science and Engineering and recommend the approval of task order number 3 under the IDIQ contract number 22-107 for a total cost of $535,940. Contract number 22-107, task order number 4 for preliminary engineering services phase 1 for beach restorations at Litchfield and Garden City Beach. Public Services and Capital Project staff have reviewed the proposal received from Coastal Science and Engineering and recommend approval of task order number 4 under the IDIQ contract number 22-107 for a total of $594,628. RFQ number 25-081, Master Plan for the Redevelopment of the Georgetown Port. Staff recommends the award of the highest ranked offerer, Seaman Whiteside and Associates, Inc. The final negotiated price or final negotiated amount is expected not to exceed the budgeted amount of $250,000. Move down to public hearing, Ordinance 2605, an amendment to the housing element of the comprehensive plan to include a housing impact analysis as required by SC Code 6-4-12 regarding the use of ATAX funding for workforce housing. Chair will now hear comments on public ordinance number 2605. Hearing none, the public hearing is closed on ordinance 2605. We will now open the public comment section for ordinance 26-10, an amendment of the fiscal year 25-26 budget ordinance. We will now open the public comment period for ordinance number 26-10. Seeing no comments, the ordinance 2610, the public comment section is closed. Move down to resolutions and proclamations, or proclamation number 2606, proclaiming the week of April 19th through 25, 2026 as Crime Victims' Rights Week in Georgetown County. We have a report from ADA Brandon Ellis and Director of Emergency, or our county, Assistant County Administrator and Director of Emergency Services.
I'm over here tonight. I'm filling in for Miss Broach. I'm playing musical chairs, but I am here to report on Proclamation 2606. There has been a request to read the entire proclamation, so bear with me. Whereas crime affects individuals, families, and communities in profound and varied ways, often leaving lasting physical, emotional, and social challenges. And whereas the concept of kinship underscores the connections that build bridges to support services and shared strength among survivors, advocates, and communities. And whereas kinship is the foundation of victim advocacy, inspiring trauma-informed care that meets survivors where they are. And whereas through kinship, we build peer networks and community alliances that empower survivors, foster resilience, and offer pathways to healing. Whereas kinship reminds us of the strength that comes from connection, the importance of listening to every voice, and the power we have to create lasting change when we work together. Now, therefore, we, Georgetown County Council, along with Solicitor Jimmy A. Richardson II, proclaim the week of April 19th through 25th, 2026 as Crime Victims' Rights Week in Georgetown County. This proclamation reaffirms our dedication to building connections, standing in kinship with survivors, and creating a future where healing and hope are within reach for everyone. Adopted this 7th day of April, 2026. Turn this over to you for consideration, sir, for Proclamation 26-06.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. You've heard a report from Assistant County Administrator and Director of Emergency Services Ellis on Proclamation number 2606, proclaiming the week of April 19th through 25th as 2026 as Crime Victim Rights Week in Georgetown County. Is there a motion on the floor? So moved by Councilor Charlton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Cooper. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Proclamation passes.
Chairman, if we could trouble you for a photo, I think we have representation here from Solicitor Richardson's office.
Thank you.
Move down to Proclamation number 2607. Thank you, Scott. Hey, Lisa. Melissa. Why did I call you Lisa? Proclamation number 2607, proclaiming the month of April as County Government Month in Georgetown County. ACA Brandon or
Back
Ellis?
again. Yes, sir. Proclamation 2607 proclaims April 2026 as County Government Month in Georgetown County. National County Government Month was established by the Association of Counties in 1991 and is an annual initiative to increase public awareness and understanding of the government roles and services that we provide. Georgetown County provides a wide range of essential services that impact residents daily, including public safety, infrastructure, and community development. The county will recognize this month through outreach efforts such as our Taxpayer Academy that has been a huge success for the past several years, and by highlighting the recent accomplishments, including capital project initiatives, facility improvements, departmental accreditations, and our enhanced cybersecurity measures. We present to you Proclamation 2607 for consideration, proclaiming this month as National County Government Month in Georgetown County.
Thank you, ACA Ellis. You've heard the report on Proclamation 2607, proclaiming the month of April as County Government Month in Georgetown County. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of proclamation number 26-07.
Thank you, Councilman Morant. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Mercado. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Proclamation passes. We move down to resolution number 2608, adopting the Georgetown County Local Comprehensive Beach Management Plan. We have a report from ACA Carla Harvey, our Public Services Director. Ms. Harvey, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, council. Georgetown County currently has a comprehensive beach management plan that was adopted in 1992. That was the initial plan, and it has not been updated until now. So the plan was completed in September of 25, so it will reflect a revision date of 25. We have received comments from SCDES. We have updated our plan based on their comments. And so this plan we're proposing to you all tonight for adoption for our beach management plan for today, which would be found on DES's website along with every other coastal county's management plan. So I will just say that there is a section of the comp plan that covers the beach management plan. That will remain in some form. This document will be a living document that we can update as necessary should natural events happen and things like that. There's changes to our beach. So this will be a living document that we can update. We're also planning to update with Ms. Richardson's office and the UDO update on the beach standards also. So it's kind of three pieces, but this is just our first initial piece that I wanted to get in front of you all tonight. And that is our local comprehensive beach management plan.
Thank you, ACA Harvey.
Okay.
You've heard the report on resolution number 2608, adopting the Georgetown County Local Comprehensive Beach Management Plan from our ACA Carla Harvey and who's also our Public Service Director. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Bob Anderson. Forgive me. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Mercado. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Resolution passes. Move down to third reading of ordinances. Ordinance number 2605, amendment to the housing element of the comprehensive plan to include a housing impact analysis as required in SE Code 6-4-12 regarding the use of ATAX funds for workforce housing. We have a report from Ms. Richardson. You have the floor.
Thank you, sir. As we said last meeting, this is based on Act number 57 that was recently passed by the state. And it requires that we do a housing impact analysis that we had prepared by a consultant, that we amend our housing element to include the analysis. We've been over the report, and staff is recommending that you adopt this analysis as part of the housing element of our comprehensive plan. This will satisfy the requirement of Act 57, and if it's approved, we can then send it on to the required entities so that it will, in a sense, unlock those funds, the local accommodations tax 15% for use for workforce and affordable housing in our county. We
Thank
haven't
you.
had any changes since second reading.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. You heard a report from Ms. Richardson on ordinance 2605. Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 2605, amendment to the housing element of the comprehensive plan to include a housing impact analysis as required in SC Code 6-4-12 regarding the use of ATAX funds for workforce housing. There's a motion on the floor. So moved by Councilor Mercado. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Cooper. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Ordinance passes. We move down to ordinance 2610, amendment of the fiscal year 25-26 budget ordinance. We have a report from Ms. Angela Christensen, our county administrator.
Good evening. Amended Budget Ordinance 2610 is before you for consideration. This proposed ordinance recognizes and appropriates monies for activities that have been approved by County Council in the general and special economic funds. I will be glad to answer any questions that you may have and recommend that you proceed with approval for the amended ordinance.
Thank you, Ms. Christian. You've heard a report from Ms. Christian on ordinance 2610, amendment of the fiscal year 25-26 budget ordinance. Are there any questions from Ms. Richards? Ms. Christian?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of concerns really for clarification purposes, really. Looking at the proposed ordinance, And I'm looking at section 5, I think it is, on the ordinance, which pertains to the custom house. I'm looking at the amounts that's being allocated to that particular facility, and I know the county has already purchased it and everything. From looking at the information that's provided here, I'm looking at the purchase price of it, and I'm looking at the amount that's being requested here, which leaves a difference of about 576,000 for repairs, and retrofit. Now, I'm trying to figure out here, is that amount the total amount that's being necessary to renovate and retrofit that particular property? Would that particular amount suffice retrofitting and renovating that particular facility? Because we're talking 575. When you look at it, when you look at the overall cost of the facility, minus the credits that were being given after looking at the HUD settlement statement and everything, you're talking about 5,484 or 002.36. That's the amount that the county actually expended. And we're requesting, the 6 mil here for it, which leaves a difference of about 575,997.64. So I'm trying to find out now, how do we come up with that particular figure to assure that that will be sufficient to retrofit and renovate the facility? Have there been any type of plans to show what the renovation is going to be done? And no, I have not seen any plans for renovation. I've heard talk of renovation, and I know it has to be retrofitted to accommodate county staff and everything. And I'm trying to make sure that this amount will be sufficient to provide the additional space necessary for staff, because we talked about increasing staff space, we spoke about, because right now we say they're kind of clustered up as to where they are, and the facility is not fine where they are. So is this going to increase the space for the staff that we have now? And can we get, and I'm actually a bunch of questions at once, so maybe you can just do it in one general comment, basically. Because really, personally, I would like to see what the renovation is going to be, the breakdown of it, and how those renovations is going to do what we said they're going to do. That is enlarging the space that's going to accommodate staff, and is going to accommodate all the staff that we spoke about. I think initially we talked about maybe 15 to 16 office space in that particular facility. And the question is whether this 575,997.64 would actually do that. Then there's some other things also as far as who's going to be occupying it and the growth of it. Let's see, because if we're going to allot this particular amount in the budget at this particular time, the question is going to be, if that does not do it, are we going to be coming back over and over again to seek additional funding to make sure we have adequate spacing that staff wants, and that it would be sufficient to retrofit what we're talking about? Because at one point in time, the figures seem to have been high, but now they seem to have been lowered. So I'm trying to figure where that analysis came from, and whether there is some designer or architect who came in and did the design of the building, showing how the office space is going to go, and whether that has been done, which caused us to come up with this particular figure. Because we're saying 575,997 would be sufficient to do what we want to have done with that building. So I wanted to find out how do we come and arrive at that particular figure?
I'm going to give you some kind of general information on that at this time. That amount really is what we will need to be able to operate, to go in day one. It does not necessarily add any additional office space at this time, but I think what's important to detail is the kinds of things that we're going to need, from computer structure to telephones to lighting to security, to making sure the bathrooms and things like that are adequate for folks who certainly may use that building. So it's not necessarily adding additional office space than what's currently there at this time. It is our best guess. We are getting some final estimates, and we're still working on that with the staff, with ACA Harvey and the facility staff. So it is still very much a work in progress.
Oh, I've got a question, based on what I just heard from our administrator. This is not a firm fixed price then, just, and forget about, more offices or any of the other stuff where we're putting in walls and that sort of thing. This is just to get moved in, but it's not a firm fixed price.
That is correct.
Okay, so how do we handle that as far as being a moving target if we're going to do third reading here? Just clear me up on that. And I'm not trying to be complicated here. It's just that, what my compadre is talking about here is a budget. And are we going to meet this budget, which we know we got a fixed price on the building, but as far as the moving in cost, it's not a firm fixed price. So how are you going to handle that in the budget system?
Well, I think what's important, you use the magic words, this is our budget. So we've got to make it work within the confines of doing that. With the things that we know today, we believe that there is sufficient monies certainly to open the door, get folks in, get folks situated, and they'll be able to do business in 4 to 6 months. So certainly, I think that's what that price represents.
Okay, did you add like 20% to give yourself some contingency on this number?
Yes, sir, I did.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'll rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you.
So basically what I'm looking at really is, as far as being transparent and some of the inquiries I've been getting from some of the constituents. So the total amount that we'll be investing in this particular building basically is going to be what's in the budget here, the 6,060,000, right? That's the amount we'll be investing in this particular building, the total amount as far as transparency goes. 'Cause that's what they wanted to know, how much are we investing in the building? So we're investing the 6,060,000
Yes, sir.
amount, okay. And that figure may be subject to change depending on what is encountered after the 20% that Mr. Anderson talked about. So it may even change from this particular figure and go upward or possibly downward. Never know.
We would certainly like to see it be less, but we certainly think we have put sufficient money in there to take care of the operational impact that we will initially have to get staff in that building and get us situated.
Okay, so we have a total investment of $6,060,000 is what the total investment in that building is going to be, based on the sales price and the renovation that we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I look forward to the list of buildings that we're going to be getting rid of.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any further questions for Ms. Christian? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 26-10, an amendment to the fiscal year 25-26 budget ordinance. Is there a motion on the floor? So moved by Counselor Charlton. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Cooper. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? 3-4 against.
Let me let you know, I'm reading this early to see whether we can decide, but I'm for the budget.
You for it?
I'm for it.
Okay, so the motion passes 6-1. All right. Ordinance 2611, an ordinance to amend the ordinance 2021-05 and to ratify, authorize, and reallocate and approve expenditures of capital sales tax revenues for community projects. We have a report from Ms. Beth Goodell, our Director of Recreation and Community Service. Ms. Goodell, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, this is the ordinance that we discussed at the last council meeting. This is the cleanup for Councilor Bishop Cooper's district, and primarily it just reallocates the funding for Sandpit Park that was originally to be spent for tennis courts, to reallocate those funds for the park improvements that the community elected instead of tennis courts, which were playground, picnic shelter, those type of things. So it just kind of entitle clarified what the actual improvements became. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. Nothing has changed in the ordinance since last reading.
Thank you, Ms. Goodell. Are there any questions for Ms. Goodell on ordinance 26-11? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 2611, an ordinance to amend the ordinance 2021-05 and to ratify, authorize, and reallocate and approve expenditures of capital sales tax revenues for community projects. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Cooper. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Ordinance passes. Move down to second reading of ordinances. Ordinance number 26-12. Bear with me. Authorizing the issuance and sale of not exceeding $25 million general obligation bonds in one or more years in one or more series with appropriate series designations, and the issuance of general obligation bond anticipation notes in one or more years in one or more series with appropriate series designations by Georgetown County, South Carolina, providing for the form of the bonds and notes, fixing certain details of the bonds and notes, authorizing the county administrator or her lawfully authorized designee to determine certain matters relating to the bonds and notes, providing for the payment of the bonds and the notes, and the disposition of the proceeds thereof, and other matters relating thereto. We have a report from our county attorney, Mr. Jay Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ordinance number 2612 would be for the issuance of a 25,000 general obligation bond. The purpose of that bond is to go ahead and begin funding on approved CPST projects until the funds from the CPST tax could begin to come in. That is, it would allow the county to go ahead and start on those without having to wait for the tax funds to be collected. We also have our bond counsel, Franny Heiser, with us on remotely if you have questions for Ms. Heiser as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Jay. You said 25,000. You meant
I'm sorry,
25
25 million.
million.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We find 25,000 seat cushions. I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't get many projects done with 25,000.
Are there any questions for Jay on ordinance 26-12?
Jay, I have one. I'm sure this is, these bonds will be paid as CPST monies are collected.
Correct.
And come in. Is there, any payment schedule on these bonds? I'm sure it's been coordinated through, Fannie and her company with, how much we bring in a month versus how much we pay. Is there any chance that we might have to dip into other monies to pay back these bonds, or is there a long-term payment on it?
Franny, are you there?
Good evening. Thank y'all for letting me visit with y'all remotely. The repayment, the maturity schedule or repayment of the bonds will be approved by the county administrator. That's one of the matters delegated to the county administrator. Working with Compass Municipal Advisors, the county's financial advisor, we can come as close as possible to assuring that the payments will be able to be made by the sales tax collections. As you plan for the expenditure of your sales tax, you have amount set aside for debt service to repay the 25 million. And then there's an amount that we call pay as you go. And that pay as you go amount is what will be spent without regard to the borrowed funds. But the pay as you go serves as your safety net for any repayment of the bonds, if that makes sense. So the amount needed on an annual basis to repay the bonds will be structured so that there will be enough sales tax revenue to make the debt service payments and the pay as you go payments. And if there's any decrease in the sales tax revenue, the pay as you go projects would slow down, not the repayment of the debt. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you, Vanny. One other quick question. When they're issued, what term limits are being issued on these bonds? For how long?
The bonds will mature by the sunset date of the sales tax.
It's,
It's
Max,
a
what was-
relatively short term, it's a relatively short term obligation, so that the, bonds will, the outstanding, bonds and the sunset of the sales tax will be simultaneous.
thank you. Bob Anderson here, young lady. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. I just got one question. What's the return on the investment? What percentage?
We've sold some, well, that's first of all a Brian question. I always have to say, I'm not the financial advisor. I'm not the numbers person.
Well, I don't
I'm
want to
the-
put you in between a rock and a hard place, but
I'm at on the legal side of it, but, and things are very volatile right now. This debt probably won't be sold until on into the summer. Again, that's another decision that has been delegated to Ms. Christian, and hopefully the volatility in all the financial markets will have calmed down a little bit as we approach June, July, and August. But we have, prior to any recent volatility, we have seen short-term rates be very favorable, and the unspent bond proceeds have been able to be invested through the state treasurer's local government pool at a very favorable rate. So this should be one where there's not much, if any, negative cost to carry, meaning that the investment rate on the proceeds should be very close to the interest rate that we are paying on the debt.
and that would be what? What's the percentage?
Mid twos to low threes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Are there any further questions? I have one quick one. It's probably for Ms. Christian. Well, how much money have we collected so far in sales tax? Do you have a figure?
I think it's a little over $10 million. We should be receiving the next round of costs shortly. Next round of revenue shortly.
So we've already gotten, we're ahead of schedule, so we've got
We
10
are a
million
little bit
coming
ahead
in.
of schedule right now. Yes, sir.
So we've almost got half of what the bond's worth already.
Right.
And pay as you go to. Okay, thank you. You've heard a report from Mr. Watson and Ms. Franny and Ms. Christian. Are there any questions or the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 26-12, and I'm not going to read all that again. In the interest of time in my lungs. Is there a motion on the floor for ordinance 26-12?
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Newton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Anderson. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Ordinance passes. We move down to first reading of board.
Mr.
Thank you very
Chairman,
much.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's Franny signing off.
Oh.
You don't need Ms. Heiser for anything else on this, do you?
No,
All
no.
right. Thank you,
Franny.
thank you,
Bye-bye,
Franny.
y'all. Glad to do it.
Move down to the first reading of ordinances. The following ordinance is to be read into the record by title only. Ordinance number 26-13, an ordinance to amend the ordinance 2021-05 and to ratify, authorize, reallocate, and approve expenditures under capital sales tax revenues for community projects. Move down to the approval of minutes. Our regular council meeting minutes for March 24th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? So moved by Counselor Charlton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Cooper. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, the minutes are approved. Is there any further business to come before council at this time? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Counselor Charlton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Cooper. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, stand adjourned.